Hello and welcome to VoiceOver Plaza, the podcast from directvoices.com, the VO marketplace, where voice talents meet voice seekers directly without middlemen.
And now interview with Derek Chappell, an all-American voice talent. Derek, where are you located in the United States?
Constant, I am in Ottawa, Kansas, which is about 40 minutes south of Kansas City. Beautiful rolling plains here in Kansas, right in the heart of the Midwest.
Tell us about Derek Chappell as a voice actor, about your career in this business of voiceover acting.
Well, I got my start behind a microphone in the 9th grade in our junior high. We had a talent show, and I didn't have any talent. I couldn't sing, I couldn't dance, I didn't play an instrument, but I talked quite a lot and communicated quite well, and I volunteered to be the MC and fell in love being behind the microphone already at that point in about the 9th grade. And then I just continued as much as I could to be behind the mic because that's what I wanted to do. So by about age 16, I was the public address announcer for our summer baseball leagues. I went to college and studied broadcast communications. I worked at the local radio station and the campus radio station. Did a lot of live things back then, play-by-play for football and basketball games. And then when I graduated from college, I landed a job at a rock station here in Kansas City, right up the road. One of the FM rock stations. It was a classic rock format that at that time was brand new. It was a lot of fun, even though it was old music, it was brand new. I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and then my career took a turn. Some people say it was a lateral move. I went to law school and got my law degree, and I've been practicing law and doing voiceover part-time for about the last 20 years.
At a certain point in your career, you decided to write a blog, The Voice of Your Business. Why this title for the blog?
Well, I got into blogging about the time I attended FAFCon 2 in Atlanta, and I had been reading blogs before that from some of the guys that had started, Bob Sauer, Dave Courvoisier, those guys, and I thought it'd be a fun way for me to share my experience as I kind of got back into the business more on a part-time, full-time basis. Really, originally I had no idea why I was writing the blog, just sharing some fun voiceover stuff that I thought others might be interested in, or even my family might want to read to understand a little bit more about what I was doing, and have enjoyed blogging ever since. I try and do it about 3 times a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and usually on the weekend with a review of the week's best blogs. I've been doing that as well. But the title for The Voice of Your Business really came from kind of my marketing as I got into this in 2008. I was doing some work for a couple of clients and thought about a great way to continue with residual work for the same people, which I thought would work to be sort of their voice logo, kind of be their voice that people recognize with their business. So the way I marketed myself to them was that whether it's a radio or a TV spot or maybe their phone system, maybe something on the web for their business, if people continued to hear the same voice through all those mediums, they'd be more familiar with that specific business. So I kind of just dovetailed that into being called the voice of your business, and I've gone with that ever since.
You're using social media to market yourself and also to educate and entertain about the profession of voice-over acting. What are actually your results, your feedback here?
Well, I've had pretty good feedback, mostly from other voice actors. I think it's hard to blog and use social media to clients you don't know yet or target them specifically. So getting yourself out there, I think, for clients to see what you do is very important. And so I use my blog not only to educate other voice actors, I educate others who may need voice talent as well, and I like to do it just also for entertainment. I posted a thing yesterday on my blog, a video of Joe Cipriano's studio, which is a phenomenal studio, and I thought, anybody that's a voice actor would love to see that, and I know people in my own family would love to see kind of behind-the-scenes things like that, and so I enjoy posting very specific content for voice talent, but at the same time, I try and be broad enough and general enough to be entertaining for others who may stumble across my blog or look for that for entertainment as well. And I use a number of social media platforms to share it: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, direct email contact. So I figure the more you get yourself out there, you never know who's going to see what you're sharing, and they may need your services when they see it, and put yourself out there as a professional in the business.
Derek, who are your readers? Can you provide a profile of a typical visitor to your pages? Beginners, established voice talents?
The way I share my blog is a lot on Facebook, a lot of voiceover groups that I'm involved in. So I think that the typical visitor to my blog is a voice talent themselves. I would, there are some beginners. I tailor a lot of my stuff to beginners because really I still consider myself a beginner, or I'm constantly being educated about the business as I continue to proceed. So anything that I find, whether it's a social media tool that helps me, or a specific piece of equipment or a piece of advice that I get, I'm more than willing to share that with anybody else. So I like to throw things on there for beginners, and at the same time, any established voice talent as well that may not see something that I see, I like to share that for everybody else to have. So, I'd say it's more tailored towards people that are already in the business, and the beginners, as they come along, I hope they can learn with me along the way.
And what are the topics that are most interesting for that audience?
The biggest hits that I get are usually on the weekends when I do the review of the week's blog posts. I use the Feedly website, which allows me to plug in all of the voiceover blogs that I see and that I read, and I check those daily. And it can be time-consuming at times, and I know other people like to read what other people post as well and may not have the time. So as I read and review something, if I feel it's a top-notch blog post for people that would want to see that information, maybe they didn't get a chance during the week, I put a list together on the weekend of the top voiceover blog posts of the week for other people to use and review. And I think that's been the biggest kind of niche I've had on my blog that people have seen. But, I try and share personal things as well about my voiceover career and things that I find. And I'm also going to bring back a feature I did about a year ago, which is called Match Game VO, which I put together 3 voice talents and then randomly post their demos as well. And I don't tell you which demo goes with which person, and I let you listen to them and see if you can match them up. It's just kind of a fun way for me to share demos from my friends in this business and others, because like many voiceover talent, I have a lot of friends online and in social media, and I got to thinking, I'm friends with them, and that's great, but have I ever really heard what they do? Would I know their demo if I heard it? And I like listening to other people's demos to kind of get some ideas for mine, hear what they're doing. And I just thought it'd be a fun way to kind of share and get other people to read my blog, and that was it.
Oh, that's a brilliant idea. People usually, of course, listen to voiceover talents, but they cannot put a picture, a face on the voice they listen to. So that's really clever and interesting and fun. One key topic you have identified is the regular invoicing problems, payment issues, and clients ignoring basic rules of compensation for our job. Voice talents face sometimes awkward situations with clients. What would be your advice to get over those problems?
Well, I had a blog post about a week or so ago that was actually supplied to me by the great people at Edge Studio in New York. And they supply me with articles that I can post on my blog, and one of those was blog post about overcoming issues with invoicing clients. And what I took away from that, and what I found so far for me, is that communication from the start with your client is the key. Be clear from the start about both of your expectations, really. You get yourself into trouble with, pickups and revisions and word counts and things like that. You might go ahead and talk to a client about a job, and they say it's one thing, and then all of a sudden you get into it and it's something different. And nobody wants that. So I think you have to be consistent with each client. You have to be, your communication has to be extremely good from the start, because you want to develop, a relationship with that client. So you want things to go great from the start. I think you should be, flexible with your client when it comes to the invoicing and the expectations from the job. But you have to be on the same page from the start. And one other thing too is that some voice talent fall into the trap of is, they'll do the job, they'll be on to the next job, but they forget to send the invoice, or they say, I'll send it tomorrow, and then, a week goes by or 10 days goes by. I mean, that's how you get paid, is send the invoice. So it's very important to set up your system so that invoice gets out as soon as possible after that job.
Voice acting seems a very crowded market nowadays, probably with far too many suppliers. If you're a starter, can you really make a living out of voice acting? Can you earn a full income with voiceovers?
I think you can. Obviously, there's many people that are doing it, but you have to be committed to it. And I have been given great advice by some of my mentors and coaches here. Like I said, when I kind of got back into this in about 2008, was don't quit your day job until you're making as much in voiceover as you are doing that day job. And, I still practice law full time. I'm not going to quit that anytime soon, but you can. Voiceover is a slow learning, growing process as a talent. I think you're just not going to be a success overnight. You're not going to start making big money overnight. You've got to pay the dues and take the time. So, the last thing you want to do while doing that is worry about how you're going to make a living. So you can do it. There's ways to do it, but you got to be very organized. You got to be very focused, and but I think it can be done. I'd like to get there to be able to do that full time myself. That's the goal.
What do you think are the basics to start a promising VO business?
Find somebody to help you from the start. There is so much to learn, not only on the performance side, but on the business side. So if you find a great coach or a mentor first who can help you, first of all, to determine whether you have the raw skills necessary, I think, to be successful. Too many people these days that, voiceover is growing greatly, and so many people think, oh, well, I can talk into a microphone and make money doing that, but there's so much more to it than that. So you've got to get the experience behind the mic. You've got to practice with a coach a lot before you buy any equipment, before you make a demo. It's just not an overnight success business. So I think the basics have to be find somebody to help you, get a lot of coaching first, learn about the business side. Find somebody who's an audio engineer, a friend of yours or somebody online who can help you learn the editing skills you're going to need if you don't have those. Look for the people that are respected in the business and don't find these, demo producing companies that say, hey, come to our weekend seminar and we'll have a demo in your hand by Monday. You can't do that. You're serious. You got to have a plan. You got to stick to it. And finding somebody to help you from the start is I think, the key. And that's what's helped me a ton.
Sooner or later, you have to sell your services, probably on the internet. So we wonder, what is your opinion on pay-to-play sites? There are a few out there.
If you get on the forums and you see some of the groups and voiceover groups that I belong to, there's opinions on that, all over the board. Some say they're a waste of time. Some say they're just, a churning out of talent. They've dumbed down the talent or taken down the rates. I haven't been in this long enough to really tell you those aspects of it. I can tell you what I think. I think pay-to-play sites are good. They're a good part of your overall marketing. I know that some of the jobs I have had over the last year or two have been from my auditions on pay-to-play sites, and some of those jobs I didn't get, but some of those people I auditioned for remembered me, or saved me in their favorites perhaps, and then they came back to me. So I have gained some work through the pay-to-play sites. I think it can be an integral part of your overall marketing plan, but very few people make a living just off pay-to-play sites. But it's very I think it's a good tool to have.
Talents would like to have a direct relationship with the clients without so-called middlemen, but that's really hard to get. You can have your website, be active on social media, yet it's unusual to have a direct contact with the voice seekers. Why is that, Derek?
Well, I think, first of all, there's so many voice talent out there. For some people seeking voice talent, they don't really know where to start. A lot of them may, search online and type in the word voiceover, and you're going to get some pay-to-play sites that come up. But rarely, if you do that, are you going to get specific voiceover websites from individuals, unless you're really into the social media and the search engine and things like that. So I think, places like voices.com or Voice123, people hear about that and they go there first. It's that avenue that you could use then once you establish a relationship with somebody to then have that personal relationship with them. But I think it's difficult for some voice seekers who aren't in the business all the time to know where to even look. But I think the key is once you have them, and like I said, some of the jobs that I've had aren't from auditions I've won the first time. It's from people coming back, trying again, or saying, hey, I remember you from the last time, you'd be great for this. So it is difficult sometimes to find them individually, although I will say 2 weeks ago I got a phone call totally out of the blue from a guy in Texas who found me online, found my website, and listened to my demo. So it's, once in a while that'll happen, but it is rare.
How would it be possible to, leave those middlemen behind and just get into business with the real client, with the real voice seeker?
If I had that answer, I'd be a very rich man, because I'd sure share that with a lot of people that want to know. I think you've got to market yourself. It's up to you to get yourself out there. And that's one thing I've learned through a lot of the people that I've talked to in this business that I see online is, through the explosion of social media over the last few years, there's many more opportunities to get yourself out there. And it's kind of one of those where you never know who's going to see what you post, or word of mouth from somebody else, or they see you on somebody else's blog or website. You never know. And if you're not out there, they're not going to see you. So I think one of the things you have to do is be sure you're out there. And that's why I try and spread what I do across so many different mediums and social media, because you never know who's going to be looking for you at a specific time. And then the key is once you have that relationship started with a client, you've got to do everything you can to keep it, just like anything else. And word of mouth is great. It's a fantastic way to get new clients. That's how I do it in my law practice. Probably 75% of the clients I have are word of mouth from this client I took care of who has a friend who needs the same kind of help, and they tell them about me. I think the same thing works in voiceover. You let this client know what you do. They may know somebody else that may be looking, and so you've got to just continue to foster those relationships once you get them started. But the hardest part is to get them started, no question.
Derek Chappell, an American voice talent, thank you very much for your comments, for your time, and wish you much success in your career.
Well, Constantine, I thank you for the call, and I look forward to what you guys are doing and being a part of that as well. And I appreciate you taking the time today to talk to me. And you guys have a great trip back to where you're headed.
That's all for this interview from VoiceOver Plaza, the podcast from DirectVoices.com, the VO marketplace, where voice talents meet voice seekers directly without middlemen. Check out our blog, VoiceOver Plaza, for more tips and tools to succeed in voice acting. So head on over to DirectVoices.com/Plaza. We are happy to read your comments there.